Welcome to Write Books That Sell Now, the podcast helping you write, publish, and market your book faster, better, and smarter. Here are your hosts, working hard and having fun doing it, Candace L. Davis, Anita Henderson, and Carol Dunlop.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Write Books That Sell Now podcast. We are here as always as the podcast that gives you real insight into the real world of becoming a successful self-published author. We are the Write Books That Sell Now team. I'm Anita Henderson right here along with my partners in success, Carol Dunlop and Candace L. Davis. Hey ladies, what's up?
Hey guys.
Hello. Hello. We are excited. As always, we're bringing you a fantastic show. We are excited to have this particular guest on the show because we go back some years with her and have watched her evolution. We're actually going to be discussing the painful truth, how to tell the painful truth in your book. A lot of people are afraid of that, right? They're like, I don't want to tell my stuff, all my juicy, yummy secrets and the shameful stuff or whatever it is you think it is. But guess what? Our guest today, Renee Smith, is going to share why she decided to share her personal truth, which is some stuff that could be pretty shocking to most people who know her as a successful mother, an entrepreneur, a coach, but she has just laid it all open in her most recent book, and she's going to let us know what that insight is. But we're going to get to Renee in just a sec. For right now, we need to find out what's on Carol's mind.
Well, what's on my mind is mindset.
Okay.
We were chatting before we went live about some projects that I have going on that I've started and in the midst of finishing. And I was saying that I've done all this stuff, these projects, these programs and all that for the other company that I ran for 10 years, Optimum Body Sculpting. No problem. I could put out some posts, I could put out articles and speak to the expert level that I'm at as a personal trainer, weight loss coach and all that. But this year, the beginning of this year, I really wanted to start focusing on Creative Services International, which is this company and the one that kind of runs this social media, web design arm and do things for that. And I was sharing that, the mindset gremlins just really got me because, I'm trying to talk to people and tell them, how to get a wow website and stuff. And inside my brain is saying, you can't do that website like that. Who do you think you are? Why are you telling people that they can go out and get all this stuff with social media marketing and, can you really do that? Are you good enough to do that? And I just had to really stomp them gremlins down to the ground because I know I'm good. I know I'm excellent and wonderful. And people ask me all the time, how do you do this? How do you do that? And shoot, I built up Optimum Body Sculpting to get 10,000 listener downloads per week with my radio show. And I worked with eight-time Mr. Olympia Lee Haney. I worked with America's Fat Loss Coach. I worked with all these people. And that's what fueled me to become great with social media, website design. And I'm the bomb when it comes to making a website look awesome. But inside my brain, those little things just keep nagging at you sometimes. And
if you ever need confirmation of how awesome you are when it comes to building a wild website, honey, you need to just call me, okay?
Thank you, Anita.
Because you worked it out. I mean, I've seen your work in so many different aspects, from a nonprofit organization to small businesses and so forth, authors, and I know that you do amazing work. It's such a shame, though. We all go through that.
Yeah.
Why do you think, Candace, I'm going to ask you this, why do you think the first thing that pops into our head is the negative?
It protects us. It protects us from failure, right? So if we listen to that negative, it takes the risk out of the equation. If Carol says, well, who are you to think you are to do that? And so she doesn't do it, there's no chance of her ever failing.
But there's also no chance of her succeeding, right?
Exactly. But sometimes that pain, you got to balance that pain and pleasure principle because you're thinking, is the pain of failing greater than the pleasure of possibly succeeding? You got to fight through, but it's just an immediate sort of self-protective response.
You're
So
exactly,
Anita, what's one
exactly right.
strategy you use to work on your mindset when those kinds of thoughts pop up?
Is that for me or for Carol?
That's for you, Anita.
For me, one strategy I use. Obviously, you first have to identify what it is and know that you've heard those crazy, stupid voices before. But after that, sometimes I go back and look at positive things that people have said about me, quite frankly. Because you forget, and it's not something you remind yourself of on a regular basis. And I'm so glad that, on my personal business website, my individual business website, Carol actually added some testimonials and positive things that my clients have said. So you don't have to think any further than my own website. Of course, those things are placed there for other people to see. But I got to go back and look at that stuff sometimes too. I go back and look at letters people have written me, emails, testimonials, cards that folks have sent me to say that without my help, they wouldn't have been successful themselves. So I need that pat on the back sometimes, and really just to remind myself, okay, I have done awesome things. I go back and look at work I've done for clients. I might pick up a book or two and say, we did this thing. It was awesome. So and if I did it once, if I did it this time, I can do it again and again and again. So it's a reminder.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, our guest today is a mindset expert. She focuses on mindset in her business as well. So I want to introduce her. We all know her very well. And those of you who know us may have met her before, but she is life success strategist T. Renee Smith. And she started her first business at age 19 on credit with no business experience and no plan. And that's saying no to the gremlins, right? That's jumping in.
Yeah.
She built a successful enterprise, but she was later forced to file bankruptcy and build her new business from the ground up. Renee is proud to say she is now a reformed people pleaser, ex-perfectionist, and recovered workaholic. And
Not alcoholic.
Not alcoholic, workaholic. She's a recovered workaholic. And she uses the lessons that she learned from more than 20 years in business and more than 10 years as a wife and mother to empower other women to create harmony in their marriage, family, and business. Her life philosophy is simple. Live free from guilt, shame, and fear, and become clear about what you truly want to be in every area of your life. Her latest book is Metamorphosis. I'm super proud to say I got to work with her on this book. It's Metamorphosis, How I Shed the Life Others Wanted for Me and Learned to Live My Authentic Life. Welcome, T. Renee Smith.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hey, girl.
We're so glad to have you on our show.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's been a long time coming.
So Anita told me I
has.
could not come on the show till I got myself together and did my book. So she invited me, and then invited me back again. I'm gonna tell it. I'm gonna tell it.
That sounds like Anita.
Renee.
Renee is known for being authentic, so if you don't want the truth to be told, you might not want to listen to this particular episode.
No, you need to listen to this particular episode and get yourself straight.
Get yourself together.
So I wanted to talk about the fact that this is not your first book. Metamorphosis is not the first book you've written, but it is a very different book from The Authentic Woman. Renee, can you share a little bit about Metamorphosis and tell us how it is different?
I can. First of all, I just want to say thank you to the three of you because you all had a hand in this book. First of all, Candace, she's not gonna brag on herself, but she edited the book and she really pushed me because when I started telling my story, she's like, yeah, that's good, but there's more. So she really pushed me. Anita, she and I met years ago, and she encouraged me to write my story, to tell my story. And Carol, when I told her my story, she started crying, and that just encouraged and moved me that I needed to tell the story. So when you hear all of those things, and when people introduce me, I still am in awe of hearing it because that is not where I started. And so the reason why I wrote the book is because I realized that when people heard my story, they heard that, look, I may look one way on the outside, but I have gone through things and struggles. And so many people just want to talk about how they got somewhere or where they arrived. But they never want to talk about the struggle, the challenges that made them who they are. So I thought that it was important to tell people hey, your story that you've gone through, your life situations, that has made you who you are. And when you share it with other people, it lets them know that there's a common bond. You might have not gone through exactly what I did, but you know what it's like to hurt, to feel pain, to feel ashamed, to be insecure, and all those things. So that's the reason why I share it, because so many times I'm teaching how to do this, how to shift your mindset, how to have success. But you got to be able to forgive yourself, and you got to be able to own your personal story and stand on your personal story and say it's not who you are, it's just what you've been through.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we talked about pushing on this book, and you were initially kind of doing it as a self-help book / memoir. It wasn't really super focused on you, it was also focused on the reader. So how did you finally make the decision that you were willing to really focus this book on your life story and just allow that to be enough for this book?
I think in what you said, allow it to be enough. I think that a lot of times we think our story and what we've not gone through is not enough. So we try to add some affirmations, some journaling, some self-help, techniques, versus to have the story stand on its own. But I think during the time when I was writing the book, I kept coming in contact with women that I knew, and even strangers. They were having the same issue. Basically, they looked good on the outside, all nice and shiny, but they were a hot mess on the inside. And because they are so used to being perfect Patty, everything looks good, they have a nice house, nice car, everybody comes to them to solve their problems. So they didn't want to be vulnerable. They didn't want to show their fear. They didn't want to surrender and say, hey, I need some help. So I said, you know what? I've got to be the first one to do that. I've got to tell my story and let other women know that you're not alone. So I think in me sharing my story, number one, it was healing for me because I was able to get it out and share it. I don't think that I've ever really shared my full story. So now it's kind of like, look, here it is. This is who I am. Find yourself in my story, and then let's change our mindsets. Let's overcome and let's grow together. So it was just a series of women coming in my life that I saw that were hurt. And when I shared my story, it gave us a common bond.
So I know you would share your story one-on-one with people. You shared it with each of us, the different circumstances. And it's not like you were keeping it a secret. You were open with people on a one-to-one basis. But what was it like?
Select people. So probably,
select people.
Probably like 7 at most.
Okay, well, we're very proud to have been included in that group.
Yeah.
So then what was it like the first time that because you do have that image of sort of the perfect Patty as you presented. You've never come out without looking really great. We see you all the time. You always represent yourself very well, which is great. But what was it like the first time you stood in front of an audience, still looking great, still perfect Patty image, and peeled back that image to expose the things that you had gone through? And it includes, for people who haven't read the book yet, it includes some bad choices that Renee made herself, and consequences that she had to suffer and pay. Not only that she had to suffer, but that people around her had to suffer because of some choices that she made. So what was it like when you peeled back that perfect image and revealed that to an audience the first time?
It's so interesting because I actually did it a couple weeks ago. It was at a women's conference at Chateau Elan. It was about 40 to 50 women there. And so normally I get on the stage and I'm hyped. All right, let's go. Let's do this. This is how you do it. So this time I'm up here. And so now I'm just peeling the layers back, and I feel like I'm getting naked. I'm like, where are my clothes? Like, who took my clothes off? And when I finished, I'll tell you about what happened during, but when I finished, I just felt completely naked. Like, I feel like I just left it all out there on the table. But when I started talking, and when I looked to the right of me, I saw a woman like this. And then when I looked to the left of me, they were like, so when I told them, I said, listen, hey, you see me standing here now, but imagine what it was like spending 1,095 days in a green jumpsuit with thick socks and flip-flop shoes on. And so 1,095 days, I was like in prison. And they were like, what? You went to prison? So I think it was so invigorating because they started to see that, wait a minute, she may come up here with the nice shoes and the nice shirt and the dress and all other kind of stuff, but she's going through troubles, doggone it, worse than what I thought. So I'm sitting here and I'm having this pity party about where I am in my life, but doggone it, at least I didn't go to prison. Prison while I was pregnant and I just got married. So it made me so relatable. And afterwards, I think every woman in there, I sold out, bought a book, and it was very humbling because women just want to share their journey. And they want to share it with somebody that understands them, that's not going to judge them, that's going to, be supportive of them, that's not going to, tell their secrets. So that was really just, I think, just an experience for all of us there. Because it's like, hey, remove the makeup. And I say that in a, figurative sense. Remove the makeup, show your scars, and be in an environment where it's okay to do that.
Renee,
I got as much as they did.
Yeah, we talk, Candace and I especially, when it comes to people writing memoir, we talk about when you know it's time to tell your story.
Okay.
And we typically advise people that that's not until you get through the emotion of it. Mm-hmm. That when you can talk about it without, still being angry or crying or whatever emotion you have attached to that, that's the time when you can share it to the benefit of other people. When did you know it was time and that you were able to share without getting all emotional, but really being able to teach the lesson?
So I think what's funny is I got pushed into it because I think probably for like 5 years, people have been saying that knew bits and pieces of the story. They didn't know all of it, but that are just in my life. And then I had strangers that came and they prophesied over me that you have a story to tell. So I was like, no, God, really, I don't want to tell it. I don't want to do it. Even though I had processed the emotions. But it was when the same women kept showing up in my life. I didn't necessarily share my story, but I knew if I could have a book and give to them, that would actually provide, them with comfort that you're not in it by yourself. So I think it was after consistently hearing, because for me, I don't know, even though I knew God took me through all of these things, I'm always so focused on somebody else, helping somebody else. I really wasn't focused on sharing my story. But after woman after woman after woman, kept showing up, it was like, okay, I need to do this. And Candace too was like, hello, I'm over here, whenever you want
That's like that friendly nudge from Candace.
That friendly nudge from Candace. But I think you have to look at what's continuing to show up in your life. And so you keep having people that are showing up in your life that could benefit from your story, then you have to be open. I remember I heard it when I was at a training a long time ago, and she said, how can you get on stage, you can speak, you can motivate, you can inspire people, but how selfish is it of you to leave, for these people to leave and they not have their next step? How selfish of that is you? So that resonated with me and said, how selfish of you to have this personal story that God has taken you through to show people what it looks like on the other side, but how selfish of you not to share it?
Well, that speaks to service. That speaks to using your book in service to other people. And we tell folks that all the time. I mean, yes, you write for you first and foremost, but then you should be looking at your book to serve other people. And I think you've done just that with this one.
Thank you. And you are a tough cookie to crack. So if you say that, then what? Candace, we did something, girl.
All right.
Hey, Renee, I wanted to say really quickly, when you shared your story with us, when we were just basically talking, it really touched my heart. And the reason that it really touched my heart is because I have a close family member who's going through something similar. And I really, really did not know how to be there for them. I was angry and upset and mad and pissed and ashamed and, all that. When you're really, really close to someone and then something like that happens to them, and then you're like, I don't know what to do. And then out of left field, it was just like I looked around, I was like, whoop, Renee is like, da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, what? Oh, my God. I mean, I was one of the women like, oh, my God, really? I can't believe she went through this, and look at her now. Look at how she is, so poised and professional looking and going through life, skipping on the daisies and things like that. And I wanted to let you know, and I think you and I have shared this privately, that because of you, because of your story, and I'm getting emotional now, and just because you shared that, I was able to connect with this precious soul again, and I've been to see them, and we are communicating, and they're back in my life again, and it's really because of you. It's honest to God. It's because of you that you shared your story and put that out there like that. So I just want to thank you for that, and for being open with everything that comes along with that.
Girl, I feel like on Oprah. You're not gonna make me cry.
I know. I didn't want to.
I'm sitting here trying to hold it back. Let me cover up my nose.
You are not gonna make me cry.
The red nose.
And that's what it's about. That's what it's about right there, because I think so many women, we make bad decisions. We're in abusive relationships. We make the wrong decision about business. We make the wrong decisions and we throw ourselves away. We think that we're no good. Even when we were talking about a mindset earlier, we think that we're not worthy. And so my story is, I made the worst decisions, not decisions. And of course I had had to pay the consequences. But just because you made a bad decision or bad decisions, you can look at the lessons learned and you can turn your life around and you can do something different and serve other people with your story.
Yeah, that's important. The lessons are really important, and it speaks to not hiding, like owning your own truth. Even if, for people who are listening and watching, even if you never actually share all of your stuff in your book, although we encourage you to, share what you feel will bless other people. Even if you don't share it all, at the least admit it to yourself so you can heal.
And one quick thing is, you've got to deliver yourself from caring about what other people think.
Say that, hold on, and say that again.
You've got to deliver yourself from caring about what other people think. Because if you care about what other people think, if you care about their image, because I had family members that were like, do not tell your story. When I say do not tell your story. Because the person that I was co-defending, he was just all over the news, media, everywhere. And my family was like, you were blessed because nobody knows. So let's keep it a family secret. You know what happens, what goes on in the family stays in the family. And so I was in bondage. I was like, oh my God, I don't, want people to know. And so I had to free myself and say, you know what? If they have an issue or problem with me because of my past, I don't need them in my life. So telling your story is just as much about freeing yourself as it is about serving other people.
Great.
Yeah. One thing that I really admire about this book is that you don't paint yourself as a victim, right? Because it would be very easy to, because you were very young when you made these decisions. You were under the influence of someone else, all of these things.
Not the influence of drugs.
Not the influence of drugs.
People hear what they want to hear. I just want to be clear.
Not under the influence of substances. She was under the influence of a person. But throughout the book, it would be very easy to focus on a bad guy and take the focus off of yourself. And you don't do that. And that's one of the things that I admire about the book. But you do have to include people in the book that you still love and care about. And so you have to be careful that you don't fracture those relationships. So how did you balance what you included about your family and the people who are closest to you? Because they are part of your story. How did you balance that?
Well, first of all, I didn't tell them I was writing the book. That's number one.
All right.
I it was done.
All right, Princess Diana. Princess Diana did the same thing,
I didn't want any negative influences in my life. Influences while I was writing the book. And I had to have a conversation with them, and I had to say, I understand where you are. I understand your beliefs. I understand how you were brought up. I think differently. I think that it would be a disservice to me if I went through everything that I went through, God delivered me, and I did not share it. Because their concern was, well, we're concerned about what people think of, your children are going to say, and kids can be mean and this and that. And I said, I'm teaching my kids that they have to learn how to make decisions. They have to take responsibility for their actions. They have to walk in integrity. So that's what that's what I have to do. So it was a very delicate balance, but that's why you have to free yourself first, because that's probably another one of the reasons why I didn't write the book for so long, was because I was concerned about what my family members would think, or maybe what friends would think, or whatever. And I just came to the realization that if I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and then if I don't do it, then I'm not going to be able to live a purposeful life. So I do it in respect, and you don't tell all of your business. You have to make the story more about you, and then, can speak on the other people if they're really involved in your story, but you still want to protect their integrity and not mend those relationships. So I think a lot of the people, they probably still feel the same that they do, because they're older and that's their mindset, and it's not for me to change it, but I've just got to be comfortable in living my life and being authentic in me living it, and not doing it and being in bondage to what somebody else says is not authentic for me. And it took me a long time to get here. 40 years. I mean, shoot, I'm 41 now, so let's just say I got it in the last year. So it took me 40 years to get here.
Yeah.
So y'all still have plenty of time.
How did you mention something just a second ago about, you don't have to tell it all and that kind of thing. How did you choose which parts of your story to share in this book?
Well, I had to think about starting off, what is the ultimate result that I want my reader to experience? So I started with the end in mind. Like, what is, when they put this book down and they walk away, what is it that I want them to think? I didn't want them to get caught up in the, all the drama and all the negativity and things of that nature. So I had to put a positive spin on it. Because I remember Joyce Myers always says you can be a victim or you can be a victor, and you can't be both. And so when I was sitting down in a counseling session, yes, I went to counseling, people. I highly recommend it. After I got out of my abusive relationship, and she was sitting down and she said, okay. And she said something so profound. She said, I'm going to give you this very first session to talk about your ex, to talk about what he did to you and all this other kind of stuff, to get it out. And then the rest of our time, we're going to focus on you, why you didn't have any boundaries, why you allowed yourself to be treated like that. And so when I was writing the book, it took me back to that session. And I said, when people walk away, I want them to feel like that they're victorious, regardless of whatever situation they went through. And I need to include stuff that's going to help them feel that way when they walk away from the book. And me belittling or talking about somebody in the book and, creating a strain in relationships, that wasn't necessary. Yeah.
So Renee, did you allow the people who are close to you to read the book and give you any feedback before you published? Or did you just have a conversation with them and let them know that this is what you were doing?
No, because their feedback would have been, do not publish. So,
yes, honey. Yes.
So we had a conversation is what we had. And actually, I just, got the book back and did my first appearance. And so I'm going to give them the book, and I'm going to give them the opportunity to read it or to not read it. But I had to get myself in a place where whatever feedback, whatever opinion that they gave me, I hear it, I respect it, and I listen to it. But it doesn't move me. That's how you feel. That's your opinion. I appreciate it. But this train is moving, and I got to keep it moving. So I couldn't be at a standstill, because I may have stayed at a standstill. So I had to move, put it out there in the public where there's no turning back. I mean, shoot, man, I didn't spoke about it, and I'm about to release. So there's no turning back. So for me, that's just me personally, I had to put it out there because I knew that whatever they said to me, it couldn't change, that I needed to get my story out.
Whew. I did not feel like you were on the verge of saying something. Am I about to talk over you?
Well, what I was going to say is that we're going to take a quick break to announce our sponsors. And then we will be back with more from T. Renee Smith.
Hey guys, this is Candace from Go Write Something, and if you're struggling to write your book or just to get started, here's some exercise that can help. Sit down and take a minute and make a list of all the reasons why you want to write your book. But in this case, I want you to be completely selfish and write the list of things of what's in it for you. Are you trying to build your business as a speaker? Are you just dying to tell this story? Or are you trying to launch a business based on the information in your book? Make a list of all of those reasons, and once you understand your purpose in writing your book, it'll be a lot easier to design the structure of your book and decide what content to include. Now go write something.
Get the Write Books That Sell Now free video training series. It's absolutely free, and you will learn a bunch of tips, tricks, and hacks from each of us to help you finally get your book done. In these free videos, we open the door to give you a taste of what you'll find in our high-value, information-packed online course. You'll get information on writing, publishing, and marketing your book, and it's all for free. To access the free video training series, just visit us at www.writebooksthatsellnow.com.
We're back with T. Renee Smith, author of Metamorphosis, and we're talking about this brand new book. It's not even on the shelves yet, and we've got T. Renee on with us, so we're very excited to have her. I want to talk to you a little bit about your writing process because, I'll get an email from you and it'll say, I'm thinking about writing this, and then in a week you'll say, I wrote it. And I'm like, what? It's like 300 pages. What the heck? So what is is your writing process? How are you getting this done so quickly? You have a family, you have a husband, kids, and you have at least, well, 2 businesses really. So how are you making time to get this writing done? What's your process?
God, no.
Amen.
And so what I do when I'm writing is I really sit down and I kind of outline what it is that I'm going to write. I've done it both ways. Yeah, I've done it where, hey, you just jump in and you start writing, and 6 months later you still don't have anything. So I learned from my last book that Candace advised me to sit down and write an outline. So what I did was I went back through my story in my head first, and then I just kind of outlined, and it really was like scenes in a movie as far as what happened. So I outlined kind of the timeline, because really when you're writing your story, you forgot about a lot of events and the, chronological, the order. And so I just kind of outlined what they were. And then once I had the outline, then that gave me the order of the book. And so what I did was I set blocks of times, and I would say for 4 hours, I'm not going to do anything but write. For 3 hours, I'm not going to do anything but write. So even within that 4-hour time, I'd probably write for 45 minutes to an hour. Then I'd get up maybe for 10 minutes to stretch or do whatever, and then I'd go back in. But I was intense. So I did the outline. I created what my writing schedule was going to be, and I gave myself a deadline. So I noticed the first time that I wrote the book, it was a much longer process. I didn't have a deadline, and I really didn't have an outline. I just kind of was like, what are the things that I've talked about? Let me just kind of pull them together. And it was just more this like free-flowing, free spirit kind of thing. On this book, it was very focused. It was very concentrated. I think it was 3 weeks. I don't remember, 4 weeks or whatever. I said, I need to write the book in this time period, and I'm going to do it in this amount of times. And it's like, I think I was on the last day, and I think I wrote maybe for 8 hours, because I was like, this book is going to get done regardless. This is the timeline that I set. I'm tired of it. I'm going to be done. But it wouldn't have happened if I would not have given myself a deadline and set large blocks of times in order to do it.
I love hearing that. You said all the right things. Outline, deadline.
You cannot question what you have to say, because you don't know who needs to receive it. So it's somebody that's out there that needs to hear what it is that you have to say. So don't doubt yourself. Don't second guess yourself. Write the book, honey. Write the book. So that's the first thing. The second thing about the publishing process that I learned is that you have to be intentional about what it is that you want. Like, what do you want your cover to look like? What is it that, when do you want your book to be published? What do you want your back cover to look like? So in writing your book, and that's why it's so great as far as, Anita, what you do, coaching them through the process. Because I think in order to have a successful book, you have to understand the process. It's not just about the writing. It's also about, okay, now that I wrote the book, how is the book going to look? How is it going to grab somebody? And then now it goes into Carol with the marketing side of it. How is it that I'm going to market this book? But I think you've got to know all this stuff in the beginning, because when you write it, it has to be written in a way that when it is time to publish it, when it is time to market it, that now you have something to really be able to market and to sell, that it's a valuable product. So that's why what you guys do is so important, because you take them through the entire process and, helping them before they even write their first line.
So I noticed that you're also going in a different direction with your book design. How did that shift? What's the change you made there?
So I think with me, I really looked at different book designs as far as what I wanted. And I had to figure out, what is it that I want this book to represent? And again, it's with the end in mind. And I said, I want it to be very clean. I want it to be very simple. And I want it to represent authenticity, and really you changing your life. And so I don't want people to be distracted by a whole bunch of colors, whole bunch of design. Let's really focus on, so even more so than my picture, the focus was on the metamorphosis, the how I shared the life that others wanted so I could live my authentic life, because that's really what it's about. So that's what I wanted the focus to be on. So that is more of the, the color, more of the design, more of the pop, and everything else is just a little bit more plain or simple.
So I know Anita has this conversation with her clients a lot, and it's from a business standpoint, whether or not to include your own image on the cover. right? Because there are arguments for and against.
Yes.
Why this? The first time you didn't include your image on the cover, you had a graphic, a really cool graphic of a woman on the cover who was kind of a more every woman. And this time you included yourself. Why did you make that choice this time?
Because this is my personal story. This is my metamorphosis, is me changing. So really what that represents, and even the picture, is a picture that has, you know, little makeup on, and it's just very clean. It's kind of like, this is me, this is who I am, this is my story. So I think it just depends on, is the attention about you, or is it about something else? If I was doing a book on leadership or successfully building your business, then it wouldn't have my picture on there, because it's not about me. When you see this, I need you to think of leadership, strong leader, etc. But since this was my personal story, then I thought for me that it was fitting that my picture be there. And I say that in a very humbling, and with humility, because it really is about other people, but it's kind of like, see me in my story and then see yourself.
Very good.
For sure. So, Anita, I'm sorry, I'm stepping on you.
No, that's okay. I was going to say, I'm ready for Carol to jump in with some marketing questions.
Well, of course. And the main question that I wanted to ask you was, okay, you're talking about how the cover looks and the colors and all that. So I know that you have some marketing background, because most people don't even say that type of stuff. They may say, well, my marketing person told me that. So tell us a little bit about your background that you had in marketing, whatever it was, and then how that has helped you in this process of getting this book together.
In my previous life, I did have a marketing company. So we did website design, we did logo development, we did branding, colors. So that's the world that I come from. And so I think, of course, it gives me an advantage, because I understand the importance of your image, the graphics, the way that it looks, because you can have an amazing story, but if it's not packaged right, then nobody's going to read it. That's why you need that's why you need this team right here. I'm gonna throw that in there. I'm gonna throw that in there. So it's very important. So I think you have a lot of authors. I mean, their craft is, I'm gonna write. Okay, but then now that you write, did you give me something to be able to market it? So it helped me a lot, because I knew what I wanted. So when I went to the graphic designer, I didn't design it, but I went to the graphic designer. I said, hey, these are examples. This is what I want. This is what I want it to look like. This is the feel that I want it to have. And so I was able to translate my vision and what I wanted for them. Wanted for the book. And then they were able to design it, versus going in and say, well, I don't really know what I want. Whatever you think. Well, people don't understand. Most of the designers, they're not going to know your story. They're not going to understand it. So even if you go and find other examples of book covers that you like, and then be able to say, this is why I like these books. These are the colors that resonate with me, and give them some kind of idea, because they're there just to bring your vision to life, not to give you the vision for it.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that, because I swear, man, so many people will come to me as a designer, web designer, whatever, and say, Carol, you are the holy grail of getting this thing done. What do I need to do? And I'm like, okay.
Who are you?
Like, you got to go through this whole 100 question thing. And the main thing I ask them is, go find some stuff that you like, come back and tell me why you like the same stuff. But if you can do that before you go to the designer, the person who's going to lay it out, and tell them, hey, I like this, I like that. Now, the designer that you choose may not like what you like, but that really doesn't even matter, because unless they have a valid reason of why this isn't going to work, they're going to do it. And then the main thing is that you step back and let them create. And once they create, then you can come in and say, oh, let's tweak this or let's tweak that. You can't go, here's some stuff that I like, now do this. Now put this over there, now put that over there, tell them all that stuff. And then you don't give them, a designer has to create, just like a writer has to write. So thank you for saying that.
But one thing about it, which makes you a great designer, some designers just they take whatever the person says, and then they develop something and the person hates it. They don't say, hey, you go and you find some, things that you like, to at least give you a start. So, that's great that that's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Renee, one of the things you talk about, this book is a metamorphosis, a personal metamorphosis, but it's also a business metamorphosis for you. Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about the shift? You took some time of quiet contemplation, and then you're making a real shift in your business. Can you share a bit about that?
Yeah, honey, it's not a shift, it's a turnaround is what it is. So I think this is very key because what I say to a lot of people, and so you see 1,000 business coaches out here, you see 1,000 people, they're moving, they're shaking, and they're sounding just like everybody else. They're doing what everybody else is doing. They kind of, okay, I heard this coach, I heard this speaker, I heard this. Okay, now let me just kind of piece it together. So I had to really sit down. It's probably been about 8 months that I kind of stepped out of the public scene, and I still work with clients and things of that nature, but I really had to sit with myself and I had to sit with God and say, okay, I'm doing what I'm good at doing because I just have a business background. I've, been doing it for over 20 years, but I don't feel fulfilled. So I don't wake up in the morning. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just so excited about what I'm doing. I'm ready to inspire clients. And I got up and I enjoyed it because I enjoy motivating and inspiring people, but I had lost that passion. And so I thought that I was just burned out. I was like, whoo, do I still want to do this? Do I want to be an entrepreneur? Do I want to get a job? Okay, whoop, no, we don't want to get a job. And so I had to take some time and really just figure out what is my purpose, because I want to be doing my business in a purposeful way. And so as I did it, I started looking at the common denominator of most of the businesses that I worked with. And it was all that a lot of them, they were out of balance. And I really don't believe in balance. I believe in harmony. But they may have had success in their business, but they didn't have success in their marriage or family. Or they may have had success in their marriage and they were struggling in their, business. And so I started noticing that the common denominator of it was their mindset. And that is something that I'm so passionate about. And it's something that I've always loved doing. But I was like, God, how am I going to make money doing that? I know how to make money coaching people in business. Okay, I can do that. But how are we going to make money in doing the mindset shift? And so I just really had to take some time and sit. And so if you look at people that it seems like 1 week they're doing this and next month they're doing that, they don't have clarity and focus on what it is that they need to do. So I had to step back and say, let me get clear and focused on what it is I need to be doing, who I want to serve, and what my message is going to be. And so once I did that, it just stirred me up and inspired, came, and I'm like, let's go, honey, let's go change some lives. But it's a process. And I think most of us are not willing to take the time because of fear of not, making money, fear of not, being out in the public eye and people are going to forget about you, fear of losing clients, all these fears that we don't sit down and take the time and say, am I on the right course? Am I doing what I need to do, or do I need to shift?
I love it. Speaking of shifting and change, Renee, you changed the title of your book from when we initially talked about it months ago. Tell me what that was about, and if you feel like sharing what the title was going to be and why you changed it.
Well, honey, I went through like 6 or 7 different titles in the process, so I don't know exactly which one you're talking about.
Live Free and Clear.
That's right. Okay. I was like, yeah. That's what Candace was like. Well, which book am I editing? I was like, no. It's the same book. It's just a different title. It's the same book. It's the same book. So initially, my brand messaging was live free and clear. Live from fear and guilt and, become crystal clear and free in your life. And so as I was writing the book, yes, that is the undertone in there. But I said, in actuality, what I really did was I changed. So I was writing a chapter, and the chapter was called Metamorphosis. And I was looking up the definition of how a caterpillar goes and becomes a butterfly. I was like, this is the name of the book, because I changed from who I was and metamorphosed into who I knew God wanted me to be. So that's how the title came. So it wasn't this, I think it was just kind of like an aha moment when I was writing the chapter. And then I was researching and I saw, okay, there are other books that have this title. I said, however, this, I think for me, says what I want people to walk away with, that you have to have a metamorphosis in your life to go from I am sick and tired of being sick and tired to actually doing something to get the life that you want. So the live free and clear, it just didn't resonate with me the same after I wrote the book.
Excellent. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I went through about 6, 7, 8 title changes.
But you nailed down the right one.
Yes.
So I would, finally, Renee, for the women out there, a lot of women particularly listen to the show, but women or men who are struggling to figure out how they can tell their story. They want to tell it. They know it can serve people. They know it can help people. They know it's a powerful story, but they're scared. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give?
The number one thing is you got to stand in your own truth. You have to stand on your own truth, and you have to look at your story, look at what happened, make sure that you're not the victim, you know, in the story. And then I think you have to make peace with your story, and you have to make peace with your past. Because like you were saying earlier, you can't be telling your story and sharing your story and you're still living your story. Like, I think that you've got to go through the process and overcome. So even when I was writing my story, there were a couple things that I hadn't dealt with since it happened, and I had to process those emotions, you know, when I was writing it and going through it. And so, because you can't be like, somebody's like, oh my God, yeah, on page 73, I was reading this, and you're like,
don't do that.
Don't do that.
what? So I think that first you got to stand in your truth about your story, what it is, why you went through it, accept it, forgive, you know, all the people involved, forgive yourself, and make peace with your story and understand that that is your history. It's a part of what happened. You take the lessons from it, but you don't take your story, you know, into your future. You just kind of take the lessons. You don't take, well, I was abused and he beat me and she left me. And, you know, you don't take that. So my number one advice is you got to make peace with your story. And then number two, you got to look at what's your reasoning for sharing your story. You know, are you trying to share it to get back at somebody and be like, look, I made it despite of what you said and I can do it. And honey, go sit down, baby, bye. Yeah, I mean, so you've got to understand that if you're telling your story, it is to serve somebody else, not to deliver you. Meaning when you journal, when you go to counseling, when you do all those things, that's when you get delivered. So make peace with your past, number one. Number two, understand your intention to serve with your story. This is to help somebody else. This is not about you. This is to help somebody else. And then I think number three, tell your story with truth and honesty. You know, don't try to make everybody else the bad guy. You got to take responsibility for what you did as well. So tell your story in truth and honesty, and tell it to get a result, to motivate somebody, to inspire somebody, to help somebody change their life. So that would be my advice.
I think the readers can get that from Metamorphosis. They'll see as they read through that book some of the very specific steps you took to go from victim to victor in your own life story. So before we let you go, let our listeners and viewers know how they can find you and how they can get your book.
Okay. Well, guys, you can find me at treneesmith.com, treneesmith.com. You can get the book. It's available on Amazon, or you can simply go to treneesmith.com/books. And the book, Metamorphosis, it really is about a journey, and it's helping you in your life when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you decide that you're really ready to let go of all the excuses. You're really ready to let go of all the naysayers. In the beginning of the book, I was so external. I looked for external validation. I looked for people to complete me, to make me happy, to make me feel good. And you'll see through the metamorphosis process now, it's about being more internal. It's more about me understanding who I am and believing in me. So if you're ready to go through that process, then Metamorphosis is the book for you.
T. Renee Smith, author of Metamorphosis. We're so happy you came on today.
Awesome woman.
Thank you guys for sticking with me. I so appreciate you guys so much.
Thank you for coming on the show. We love you, Renee. We wish you much success.
Thank you.
And we may have you back for book number 3, right?
Candace, I told you, Candace already have a title. It's coming soon, honey. Speak it. Prophesy, Anita. Prophesy, girl. Prophesy.
I love it. I love it. Wow. Well, thanks again, everybody. I'm sure y'all enjoyed T. Renee. We've got a shout out today. And this book is about kind of helping you reach that metamorphosis, quite frankly. It's called Putting Down the Paddles. Putting Down the Paddles. It's a book I read several years ago that was really transformative. It's one of those 30-day instructional self-development, self-improvement, where you need to really just the title itself, think of rowing a boat, and you're constantly rowing. At some point, you got to put the paddles down, honey, and just rest. Let me read the description. It says, are you ready to relax in the divine flow of life? You better say yes, because, oh my goodness. If you are tired of the drama, the stress, and the panic in your life, Putting Down the Paddles offers a fresh approach. Instead of trying harder, relax more. In this powerful book, spiritual healer, and sought-after coach Susan M. Wright gives you a 30-day program for peace. When you read Putting Down the Paddles, you'll release the stress of constant battle. Ouch. Okay, you'll experience joy in every moment. Feel the power of forgiveness, surrender, and unconditional love, and see beauty and perfection in all aspects of your life. So the book is Putting Down the Paddles. The author is Susan Wright. Let me see if I can bring up the cover, because I just loved it. It's actually on my Kindle. I had to get this one on ebook, y'all. Can you see that? Putting Down the Paddles by Susan Wright. Amazing book. Go ahead and get it on Amazon. It's available in ebook as well. A joy to read. Take your time. It makes you relax and appreciate reading and life and self-development. So that's all I've got.
That sounds great, Anita. So it sounds like I got to download one more thing on my Kindle this week.
I know, right?
As always, we want to thank everyone for listening to or watching the Right Books That Sell Now podcast. The podcast gives you real insight into the real world of becoming a successful self-published author. If you enjoyed this episode, we hope you'll jump on iTunes and leave us a positive review. Those reviews mean so much to us, and we appreciate everyone. And until next time, keep writing.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Find out more about becoming an author and making the most of your book at writebooks.sellnow.com.